My name is Sophia Miller. I'm 26 years old, and this is the story of how I chose life over family. Imagine lying in a hospital bed, machines beeping as your kidneys fail, while your parents choose to walk your sister's golden retriever instead. That's not a nightmare. That was my Tuesday. For years, I believed love meant accepting crumbs while watching my sister Victoria feast at the family table. Her dog's grooming appointments mattered more than my dialysis. Her book signings trumped my surgeries. But the day they literally chose Duchess's evening walk over my medical emergency, something inside me finally broke. Or maybe, finally healed. What I discovered in my grandmother's papers that night would destroy their perfect family image forever. The letter I left at a Victoria's charity gala didn't just expose the truth, it redistributed $2 million and made headlines they'll never live down. Before we dive into how I finally set myself free, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy this story. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and local time below. Now let me take you back to where it all began. The Ritz-Carlton ballroom sparkled like Victoria's personality, all surface, no substance. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light over 200 guests, each clutching champagne flutes worth more than my monthly medication costs. Red and gold banners proclaimed Victoria Miller, living your best life, in cursive font that probably cost a fortune to design. I arrived 40 minutes late, my left hand still wrapped in gauze from the IV port they'd removed just 6 hours earlier. The valet's eyes widened at my 10-year-old Honda Civic sandwiched between Teslas and Mercedes. I almost laughed. If only he knew I'd driven myself here against medical advice. "Sophia, you actually came!" My mother's voice carried that special tone, surprise mixed with disappointment. She air-kissed my cheek, careful not to smudge her makeup. "We weren't sure you'd manage." The banner behind her read, "Victoria Miller, inspiring millions to live authentically." I almost laughed at the irony. My sister stood center stage in a scarlet designer dress that matched her book cover, her golden retriever Duchess beside her wearing a diamond-studded collar. The dog's accessories cost more than my emergency room copay. "Ladies and gentlemen," the MC's voice boomed, "let's hear from the woman who raised this incredible inspiration." My mother glided to the microphone, diamonds glittering at her throat. "Victoria has always been our miracle. From the moment she was born, we knew she was destined for greatness." I stood at the back, invisible as always, watching my parents beam at their chosen child. The familiar ache in my chest had nothing to do with lupus. Around me, influencers live-streamed every moment, their phones capturing the perfect family portrait, minus one daughter. Something in my purse felt heavier tonight. Grandmother's envelope seemed to pulse with possibility. And of course, my father joined my mother on stage, his voice carrying that boardroom authority. "Victoria learned about giving from the best. She's always put others first, especially family." The crowd murmured approval. I gripped my water glass tighter. "Speaking of family," the MC smiled, scanning the room. "Victoria, tell us about your support system. Your parents are here, but any siblings cheering you on?" Victoria's laugh tinkled like breaking glass. "Oh, I have an older sister somewhere around here." She waved vaguely toward the back. "Sophia's always been delicate. We try not to overwhelm her with these big events." Delicate. The word hung in the air like a diagnosis. My mother quickly added, "Victoria is really like an only child in our hearts. She's never let anything stop her from achieving her dreams." Several guests turned, searching for this mysterious sister. I kept my face neutral, a skill perfected over 26 years. A woman beside me whispered to her friend, "I didn't know Victoria had a sister. She never mentions her online." "Probably jealous," her friend replied. "Imagine having Victoria Miller as your sister." The MC continued interviewing my parents about Victoria's childhood achievements. Dance recitals I was too sick to attend, science fairs during my hospitalizations, cheerleading championships while I underwent treatment. Each memory carefully edited to remove my existence. Your family must be so proud, someone called out. We are, my father boomed. Victoria represents everything we value: success, beauty, determination. And I represented everything they wanted to forget: medical bills, canceled vacations, uncomfortable realities. The MC extended the microphone toward the audience for questions. Before I could think, my feet were moving. 26 years of silence suddenly felt like 26 years too many. I have a question, I said, taking the mic. The spotlight found me instantly. 200 faces turned, and I saw my parents' smiles freeze like screenshots. Sophia, Victoria's voice pitched high. Everyone! My sweet sister decided to join us after all. I walked toward the stage, each step deliberate. The gauze on my hand caught the light. Thank you all for celebrating my sister tonight. Family is everything, isn't it? My mother's fingers tightened on my father's arm. Victoria's publicist started moving toward the stage. I wanted to share something special, I continued, climbing the steps, about family, sacrifice, and the wisdom of grandmothers. Victoria went pale beneath her contour. Sophia, maybe we should... Our grandmother, Eleanor Hayes, taught me something important about choices. I faced the audience, their phones already recording. She used to say that true character reveals itself not in grand gestures, but in the small moments when no one's watching. That's lovely, the MC stammered, clearly sensing the shift in energy. My father stepped forward. Sophia's still recovering from a medical procedure. Perhaps... I'm fine, Dad. Just like I was fine 3 months ago. Just like I've always been fine, right? The word fine cracked like ice. Victoria's hand found Duchess's collar, and even the dog seemed to sense the storm approaching. In my peripheral vision, I noticed a man in a charcoal suit watching intently from beside the Hayes Foundation banner. 3 months ago, I sat in Dr. Martinez's office as she delivered the news that should have changed everything. Stage 3 kidney failure, she said gently. Sophia, this is serious. You need family support now more than ever. I'd called my parents immediately, my hands shaking as I dialed. They answered on speaker. I could hear Victoria's voice coaching session in the background. Mom, Dad, I need to tell you something important. Can it wait, sweetie? My mother sounded distracted. Victoria has her final book cover shoot in an hour. It's about my kidneys. They're failing. Silence. Then Victoria's voice, suddenly closer. Oh my God, I can't handle this stress right now. My publisher is already on my case about deadlines. Victoria, breathe, my mother soothed. Not me, her. My father's practical voice cut through. Sophia, what do the doctors recommend? Dialysis for now, but I'll need testing for a transplant eventually. A transplant? Victoria's voice spiraled higher. This is going to be all over social media. Author's sick sister needs kidney. Do you know how that makes me look? How it makes you look? I couldn't hide my disbelief. Your sister has a point, my mother said carefully. The timing is unfortunate with her book tour. Can't you just manage quietly? Manage quietly, like I'd been doing my whole life. The stress could trigger one of Victoria's episodes, my father added. You know how sensitive she is. That's when Victoria had her convenient panic attack, gasping, clutching her chest, demanding lavender oil and meditation music. My parents rushed to comfort her while I sat on the other end of the line, listening to them forget I existed. I hung up and made my next appointment alone. Last week had been the breaking point. Tuesday, 2:47 p.m., according to my medical records. I'd been rushed to Mercy General when my body finally surrendered to years of fighting alone. We need to contact your family, the nurse said as machines screamed around me. I gave her their numbers through gritted teeth, knowing exactly what would happen. They arrived 4 hours later. Traffic was horrible, my mother announced, brushing imaginary dust off her jacket. And we had to drop Duchess at her grooming appointment first. You know how Victoria is about that dog's schedule. Duchess. The Golden Retriever had a standing appointment every Tuesday at 3 p.m. at the luxury pet spa downtown. The same Golden Retriever now wearing a $5,000 Swarovski collar at this gala. The doctor said you coded. My father said it like an accusation. That seems dramatic. My heart stopped for 90 seconds. Well, you're fine now. My mother checked her phone. Victoria's doing a live interview at 6. We should go soon. They stayed exactly 12 minutes. Long enough to ensure the nurses saw them, not long enough to actually care. As they left, I heard my mother tell a nurse, "She's always been sickly. We've done our best." That night, alone again, I'd finally opened the package my grandmother's lawyer had sent 6 months after her death. Inside were documents I'd been too afraid to read, and a letter that began, "My dearest Sophia, by the time you read this, you'll have learned what I always knew. They will never choose you, so you must choose yourself." The folder contained everything: the will, the foundation documents, and proof of what Victoria had hidden. Dr. Martinez didn't sugarcoat it when I saw her yesterday, just hours before this gala. "Your stress levels are killing you faster than the lupus," she said, reviewing my latest test results. "Your kidney function dropped another 8% this month. At this rate, you'll need dialysis within weeks, not months. What about a transplant? We need to test immediate family members for compatibility. Parents, siblings, they're your best chance for a match." I'd laughed, actually laughed, until tears came. "They won't even visit me in the hospital. You think they'll give me a kidney?" "Sophia, without family support—" "I don't have family support. I have family members, but not support." That afternoon, I'd tried one last time. Called my mother while she was getting her hair done for tonight's event. "Mom, I need the family to get tested for kidney compatibility." "Oh, Sophia, this again? You know how squeamish Victoria is about medical things. I could die." "Don't be dramatic. You've been sick your whole life and you're still here." The sound of hair dryers nearly drowned her out. "Can we discuss this after Victoria's book tour? She's already stressed about hitting the bestseller list." "When is after the tour?" "Oh, 3 months? Maybe 4? You understand, don't you, sweetie?" I understood perfectly. Victoria's book tour mattered more than my kidney function. Her stress mattered more than my survival. That evening, while they celebrated Victoria's success at the pre-gala cocktail party, I sat in my apartment reading Grandmother Eleanor's letter for the 100th time. The part that stood out: "The foundation I've created has one purpose: to support family members who support each other. Those who abandon family in times of need forfeit their claims." The documents spread across my coffee table told a story Victoria never wanted public. The Eleanor Hayes Foundation, $2 million designated for family medical expenses and charitable giving. But there were conditions, carefully crafted by my grandmother, who'd watched my parents' favoritism for years. "Beneficiaries must demonstrate unwavering family loyalty," the clause read. "Any beneficiary who abandons, neglects, or fails to provide reasonable support to immediate family members during medical crises shall forfeit all claims to the Foundation's assets." Victoria had been trying to access this money for months, claiming she needed it for her charity work. What she didn't know was that grandmother had appointed an independent executor, Michael Chen, the man I'd noticed by the Foundation banner tonight. His email had arrived while I was in the hospital. "Ms. Miller, your grandmother anticipated this situation. I've been documenting everything as instructed. When you're ready to enforce the terms, I'll be prepared. The board meeting can be called at any time." The board, 7 members, all handpicked by grandmother. I recognized 3 of them in tonight's crowd: Dr. Patricia Wong, the CEO of Mercy General where I received treatment; James Harrison, who ran the state's largest lupus research center; and Maria Santos, whose daughter had died of kidney failure at 23. They weren't here for Victoria's book launch. They were here because Michael had invited them. "The truth has a way of surfacing," grandmother's letter continued. "I've ensured that when it does, you'll have the power to demand what you deserve. Not their love, which they're incapable of giving, but the resources to build a life without them." I'd tucked the crucial documents into my purse before leaving for the gala. Now, standing on this stage, I felt Grandmother Eleanor's presence like armor. Wow, can you believe parents would choose a dog's grooming over their daughter's kidney failure? If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, drop A in the comments. And here's a question. Would you have stayed silent this long? Let me know below. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see how this charity gala turns into sweet, sweet karma. Trust me, Victoria's meltdown is worth the wait. Now, back to that night when everything changed. Victoria grabbed my wrist backstage, her manicured nails digging in. What are you doing? Supporting my sister's big night. Cut the crap, Sophia. Why did you mention grandmother? Our parents materialized, my father's face flushed with anger. You're embarrassing us. Embarrassing you? I kept my voice level. Like when you told the nurses I was attention-seeking while I was coding? You've always been dramatic, my mother hissed. Always needing special attention, special care. Special care? I have lupus. I have kidney failure. And we've dealt with it for 26 years. My father's control slipped. Do you know how much your medical bills have cost us? The insurance covers, our reputation, Sophia, our social standing, every event we've missed, every vacation we've canceled. Victoria stepped closer, her voice honeyed poison. Some of us contribute to this family's success, others just drain it. Speaking of draining, I said quietly, how's your charity foundation doing, Victoria? The one grandmother's money was supposed to fund? She went rigid. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Because I have emails where you tried to access the Hayes Foundation funds 6 times in the last 3 months. That money should be mine. The mask slipped. I'm the successful one. I'm the one carrying on grandmother's charitable legacy. By claiming 50% of your book profits go to kidney research? I pulled out my phone because I checked with the National Kidney Foundation. They've never heard of you. My father stepped between us. Enough. You're sick, Sophia. Confused. If you continue this, we'll have to reconsider your health insurance. The insurance you claim costs you so much? Without us, you have nothing. Interesting theory. I glanced toward the ballroom where Michael Chen waited. Should we test it? Victoria's publicist appeared. 5 minutes until your main speech, Victoria. My sister smoothed her dress, back in character. Don't ruin this for me, Sophia. For once in your life, just fade into the background where you belong. They swept back toward the stage, leaving me alone in the dim backstage area. But I wasn't alone. I had grandmother's words, Michael's support, and finally, the courage to stop disappearing. Back in the ballroom, Victoria commanded the stage like she was born to it. Maybe she was. I'd certainly been pushed aside enough to make room for her spotlight. Thank you all for being here tonight, she purred into the microphone. Your support means everything as I launch this next chapter of giving back. The crowd applauded, cameras flashed. As many of you know, 50% of all book proceeds will go directly to kidney disease research. She paused for effect. This cause is close to my family's heart. I nearly choked on my water. Close to her heart? She wouldn't even get tested as a potential donor. Through the Victoria Miller Foundation, we'll be changing lives. She produced a giant check, a prop, of course. Our first donation of $100,000. More applause, more photos, all smoke and mirrors. My family understands sacrifice, Victoria continued, her eyes finding mine in the crowd. We know what it means to support each other through challenges. Right, Sophia? 200 faces turned to me. She was baiting me, daring me to make a scene. After all, Victoria's smile sharpened. Some family members inspire us to give. Others teach us about the importance of boundaries with toxic people. Gasps rippled through the crowd. She'd just called me toxic. Publicly. My mother stood, raising her champagne. To Victoria, our miracle child who never let anything or anyone hold her back. Hear, hear, my father's voice boomed. I watched them toast their chosen daughter while I stood frozen, the medical bracelet from yesterday's emergency visit still on my wrist. Around me, people whispered, pointed, judged. The sick sister, the burden, the toxic one. That's when Michael Chen moved. He didn't approach me. Too obvious. Instead, he positioned himself near the Hayes Foundation banner where 3 board members had gathered. Dr. Wong from Mercy General caught my eye and nodded slightly. Victoria was still talking, something about resilience and choosing your own family, when her assistant wheeled out Duchess on a custom platform. The dog wore a new collar, diamonds spelling out "Survivor." The irony was suffocating. The dog was a survivor. I was toxic. My hand found the envelope in my purse. Michael Chen materialized beside me during the photo session, his presence deliberate but discreet. "Ms. Miller," he said quietly, handing me his business card. "Your grandmother was very specific about tonight." The card read, "Michael Chen, estate attorney, executor of the Eleanor Hayes Foundation." But it was the handwritten note on the back that stopped my breath. She knew this would happen. She prepared accordingly. "I don't understand." "Your grandmother documented everything, every missed hospital visit, every ignored plea for help. She hired a private investigator for the last 2 years of her life." My hands trembled. She knew? She knew, and she made provisions. He glanced toward the stage where Victoria was posing with Duchess. "The foundation board is here tonight, all 7 members." "Why tonight?" "Your grandmother specified that the truth should be revealed at a moment of Victoria's choosing, when she's claiming to be charitable while abandoning family." His briefcase bore the Hayes Foundation logo in gold. The legal term is demonstrable hypocrisy. I noticed Dr. Wong approaching with James Harrison from the Lupus Research Center. They weren't coming for Victoria's speech. "The board has been reviewing documentation for 6 months," Michael continued. "Your hospital records, their responses, the fact that Victoria's charity doesn't exist in any legal form." "She's lying about the donations? Every cent she claims to donate goes to her personal LLC. It's fraud, Ms. Miller. And your grandmother anticipated it." Victoria's voice carried across the room. "Family means everything to me." Michael's expression didn't change. "Your grandmother left you more than money, Sophia. She left you the power to demand accountability." He moved away as smoothly as he'd appeared, but his briefcase remained on the table beside me. The lock was already open. The room was full of faces I hadn't noticed before. Dr. Patricia Wong, CEO of Mercy General, stood near the emergency exit, the same woman who'd personally checked on me during my last admission. James Harrison from the Lupus Research Center chatted with Maria Santos by the dessert table. Maria's daughter had died at 23, waiting for a kidney that never came. They weren't random guests. They were witnesses. "Ladies and gentlemen," the MC announced, "before our final toast, does anyone have questions for our inspiring author?" A hand rose. Dr. Wong. "Ms. Miller, your dedication to kidney disease research is admirable. Which medical facilities are you partnering with?" Victoria's smile flickered. "We're still finalizing those partnerships." "Interesting." James Harrison stood. "Because the National Lupus Foundation has no record of your organization." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Victoria's publicist started moving toward the microphone. "These are complex administrative matters," Victoria deflected. "What matters is the intention to help." "Intention?" Maria Santos's voice cut through. "My daughter died from kidney failure. Intention without action is just marketing." The room shifted. Phones came out, but not for photos. People were Googling Victoria's foundation. I felt the weight of the envelope in my purse. Inside were copies of every email Victoria had sent trying to access grandmother's foundation, each one claiming she needed the money for charitable work, while refusing to help with my medical expenses. The CEO of Mercy General was still standing. "I'm curious, Ms. Miller. Your sister has been our patient for 3 years. We've never seen you visit." Victoria's face flushed. "I don't think my personal... But you just said family means everything." The trap was set. Not by me, but by grandmother Eleanor, reaching from beyond the grave to demand justice. All I had to do was step forward. Victoria's recovery was swift and cruel. She transformed her fumbling into an attack, her voice carrying across the ballroom with practiced emotion. "You know what? You're right. I haven't visited my sister." She paused, letting tears gather. "Because sometimes, for your own mental health, you have to step away from toxic people, even family." The crowd leaned in, sensing drama. "Some people," she continued, looking directly at me, "drain your energy, your joy, your success. They make everything about their problems, their needs, their constant crises." My mother stood up, nodding supportively. "Victoria's right. We've all had to make hard choices." "Sophia has been sick her entire life," Victoria announced to the room, "and for 26 years, this family has revolved around her needs. Hospital visits, canceled plans, endless medical bills. When does it end?" "When I die?" The words escaped before I could stop them. Silence. Victoria seized the moment. "See? This is what I mean. The manipulation, the guilt trips." She gestured to the crowd. "I wrote this book to help people like you set boundaries with emotional vampires, even if they share your blood." She clicked a remote, and a slideshow began on the screen behind her. Photos of the Miller family, at Victoria's graduations, her dance recitals, her achievements. Every photo carefully cropped. I knew because I'd been cut out of each one. "This is what choosing happiness looks like," she declared. Then came the final slide. Victoria with Duchess at the pet spa. The timestamp in the corner read, Tuesday, 3:15 p.m. The exact time I was coding in the hospital. "Even Duchess understands loyalty," Victoria said, hugging the dog. "She's never missed an appointment, never complained, never made everything about her." My father joined them on stage. "We're proud of the boundaries Victoria's set. It's what's best for everyone." The audience applauded. Some were crying. Victoria had turned my abandonment into her triumph story. My mother took the microphone next, her voice dripping with manufactured sympathy. "As a mother, it breaks my heart to say this, but some children are just born difficult." She looked directly at me. "We've done everything for Sophia, the best doctors, the best treatments. But she's never been grateful. Always wanting more attention, more special treatment." "More attention than a dog?" The question came from Maria Santos. My mother's smile tightened. "That's not... Because according to this timestamp, you were at a pet grooming appointment while your daughter was in cardiac arrest." "Duchess has separation anxiety," my mother said, as if that explained everything. "Victoria needs that dog for emotional support." "And Sophia needs kidneys to live," Dr. Wong interjected. "Has the family been tested for compatibility?" My father's face darkened. "That's private medical." "But you just made her medical history public entertainment," James Harrison observed. Victoria snatched back the microphone. "This is exactly what I mean. She turns everyone against us, makes us look like monsters when we're just trying to live our lives." "Your lives." I finally stood, my voice steady. "Not our lives. Your lives." "Oh, here we go," Victoria rolled her eyes. "The victim card." "No cards, just facts." I walked toward the stage, each step measured. "You're right about one thing, Victoria. This family has made choices, like choosing a dog's haircut over a human being's heart stopping." "You're being dramatic." Room 314, Mercy General. April 15th, 3:47 p.m. Code Blue, 90 seconds of cardiac arrest. I pulled out my phone. "I have the medical records if anyone wants to verify." "This is harassment," Victoria's voice pitched higher. "No," I said quietly. "This is accountability." My mother stepped forward. "Sophia, you're embarrassing yourself." "Am I? Or am I finally telling the truth you've spent 26 years hiding?" The crowd was dead silent now, phones recording everything. Victoria clutched Duchess like a shield, but even the dog seemed to sense the shift in power. I reached into my purse and pulled out the envelope. "Okay, pause. Let me ask you something. What would you do right now? Stay silent to keep the peace? Or burn it all down?" because Sophia's about to do something that will literally make headlines. If your team expose them all, hit that subscribe button right now. And if you've ever had your own villain era moment, share it in the comments. I read every single one. Now, watch how $2 million and a grandmother's foresight change everything. Before Victoria continues celebrating her charitable heart, I said, my voice carrying across the silent ballroom, I'd like to share something our grandmother, Eleanor Hayes, left for this exact moment. Victoria's face drained of color. Grandmother's been dead for 2 years, but her foundation lives on. I opened the envelope, pulling out the letter. She wrote this knowing that one day, the truth would need to be told. Michael Chen stepped forward from the crowd. As executor of the Eleanor Hayes Foundation, I can verify the authenticity of this document. Who the hell are you? My father demanded. The person your mother trusted with $2 million. Michael's voice was professionally cold. Shall we continue, Ms. Miller? I unfolded the letter, my hands steady now. My dearest family, if this letter is being read publicly, it means the conditions I feared have come to pass. The Hayes Foundation was created with one purpose: to support family members who demonstrate unwavering loyalty during medical crises. Victoria lunged forward. This is fake! Grandmother loved me! She loved both of us, I continued reading. But love without action is meaningless. Therefore, the Foundation's funds may only be accessed by family members who have never abandoned, neglected, or failed to provide reasonable support to immediate family during documented medical emergencies. The ballroom erupted in whispers. Dr. Wong stood up. As a board member of the Hayes Foundation, I can confirm these conditions. Board member? My mother's voice cracked. All 7 of us are here tonight, James Harrison announced. We've been reviewing documentation for 6 months. I kept reading. Victoria, if you're hearing this, it means you've chosen public accolades over private compassion. The 50% of book profits you claim for charity? The Foundation knows about your LLC. The kidney research donations? We've verified they don't exist. That's slander, Victoria shrieked. Michael clicked his laptop. The screen behind Victoria changed from her slideshow to official documents. These are public records. The Victoria Miller Foundation, LLC, registered as a for-profit entity. Total charitable donations to date? 0. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Influencers were live streaming frantically. Furthermore, I continued, my grandmother's words flowing through me, I documented every hospital visit my granddaughters experienced. Sophia, 312 visits over 20 years. Family attendance rate, 4%. Victoria, 6 visits for elective procedures. Family attendance, 100%. My father stepped forward. You can't prove. April 15th, 3:47 p.m., Michael interrupted, clicking to the next slide. Security footage from Mercy General showing Mr. and Mrs. Miller at Precious Paws Pet Spa while their daughter was in cardiac arrest. The timestamp was undeniable. There they were, laughing with Victoria as Duchess got her fur styled, while 3 floors away in the same building complex I was dying. Michael clicked through more slides with surgical precision. Email after email filled the screen, each one a dagger of truth. March 2nd, from Victoria Miller, he read aloud. Can't visit Sophia today. Duchess has a playdate. March 15th. Hospital visits are triggering for my anxiety. I need to protect my mental health. March 28th. If Sophia really cared about this family, she wouldn't guilt-trip us with her illness. Victoria tried to grab his laptop. Those are private. Not anymore. Michael pulled up another document. This is from your publisher's internal memo. Concerns about Ms. Miller's charitable claims, requesting verification of all donations before next print run. The publicist was on her phone, frantically trying to do damage control, but it was too late. #DuchessGate was already trending. April 10th, I continued reading from grandmother's letter. Text message from Linda Miller to Robert Miller. If we skip Sophia's surgery, we can make Victoria's photo shoot. My mother swayed on her feet. How did she? Grandmother hired investigators, I said simply. She watched you choose Victoria every single time, and she documented everything. Dr. Wong stood again. The board has reviewed all evidence. Medical records confirm that Sophia Miller has been systematically neglected during life-threatening medical crises, while her parents attended to trivial matters involving their other daughter. Trivial? Victoria screeched. My career isn't trivial. Compared to kidney failure? Maria Santos's voice was ice. My daughter died waiting for a kidney. You wouldn't even get tested to save your sister. That's not... I have a needle phobia. But you got Botox last month, someone in the crowd called out. You posted about it. Michael pulled up the final slide. A video. This is from Tuesday, audio enhanced. The security footage played. Me, unconscious, surrounded by medical staff. The timestamp, 3:47 p.m. The audio was clear. We need her family here now. They're not answering. Should we keep trying? She's coding. Focus on the patient. Then, a split screen. The other half showed my parents and Victoria at the pet spa, champagne glasses in hand, celebrating Duchess's Best in Show grooming award. The audio from their side. To Duchess, the only daughter who never disappoints. They were toasting a dog while I flatlined. The ballroom was tomb silent except for the sound of phones capturing every second. Victoria's carefully constructed image was crumbling in real time. The Hayes Foundation board has reached a unanimous decision, Michael announced. Based on documented evidence of family abandonment during medical crises, Victoria Miller is permanently disqualified from accessing foundation funds. You can't do this, Victoria screamed. It's already done, I said quietly. Grandmother made sure of that. Michael's voice rang with legal authority. As of this moment, Sophia Miller is recognized as the sole beneficiary of the Eleanor Hayes Foundation, with full access to the $2 million endowment, effective immediately. No! Victoria's scream echoed off the crystal chandeliers. Furthermore, Michael continued, Ms. Victoria Miller must cease and desist all use of the Hayes Foundation name in her marketing materials. Our legal team will be in contact regarding the fraudulent charity claims. Dr. Wong stepped forward. Mercy General will be pursuing an investigation into the Victoria Miller Foundation, LLC, for charitable fraud. This is insane! My father's face was purple with rage. We'll sue! On what grounds? Michael asked calmly. Everything presented tonight is documented fact. Your own mother ensured that. James Harrison added, the National Kidney Foundation is also investigating the fraudulent use of their cause for personal profit. Victoria grabbed the microphone, her voice desperate. This is a setup. Sophia planned this. She's manipulating all of you. With what energy? I asked quietly. I can barely stand after dialysis. When would I have orchestrated this? The IRS has also been notified, Michael announced, pulling out official documents. Claiming charitable donations that never existed is tax fraud, Ms. Miller. The publicist was backing away from Victoria, phone pressed to her ear. Even she knew when to abandon a sinking ship. Sophia, my mother pleaded, you're destroying your sister. No, I said firmly. She destroyed herself the moment she chose to profit off an illness she wouldn't help treat. We're your parents, my father bellowed. You owe us nothing. I pulled out another document. This is a restraining order. If any of you come within 500 feet of me, you'll be arrested. You planned this, Victoria whispered, mascara streaming down her face. Grandmother planned this, I corrected. She knew that one day you'd throw a party celebrating yourself while I died alone. She just made sure there would be consequences. Michael handed me a folder. The Foundation's first grant, $500,000 to Mercy General's kidney treatment program. Your signature, Ms. Miller. I signed it without hesitation. For patients whose families actually show up. Every dollar of this foundation will go to patients who've been abandoned by their families, I announced to the room. People who sit alone during chemo, who take Ubers to emergency surgery, who code without anyone holding their hand. Dr. Wong smiled. Mercy General is honored to partner with the True Hayes Foundation. This is theft, Victoria shrieked, but security was already moving toward her. I turned to face the crowd, many still recording. My grandmother taught me that family isn't about blood, it's about who shows up when the machines start beeping. You're making a mistake, my mother said, tears finally falling. We're your family. No, your relatives. There's a difference. I looked at each of them. Family doesn't choose a dog's haircut over a heartbeat. Maria Santos approached the stage. My daughter's foundation would like to partner with yours. No child should die alone because their family deemed them inconvenient. Yes, I said immediately. Absolutely yes. Victoria grabbed Duchess's leash, trying to storm off the stage, but the dog wouldn't budge. Even the golden retriever seemed to sense the shift in power. Come on! She yanked harder. The dog sat down and refused to move. Someone in the crowd actually laughed. Then another. The perfect princess couldn't even control her prop. The first grant recipients will be announced next week, I continued, ignoring Victoria's meltdown. Priority goes to patients whose families have documented patterns of neglect. You can't give away our money, my father shouted. It was never your money. Grandmother saw to that. I pulled out the final document. She also removed you from her will 2 years ago. The house you're living in? It's mine. You have 30 days to vacate. The sound my mother made wasn't quite human. But don't worry, I added. Victoria's a best-selling author, right? I'm sure she can support you. Oh, wait. I glanced at the publicist on the phone. Is that her publisher calling? The publicist nodded grimly, mouthing, contract cancelled. Victoria collapsed onto the stage, designer dress pooling around her like spilled wine. The same crowd that had applauded her 20 minutes ago was now stepping back, distancing themselves from the disaster. The exodus was immediate and brutal. Guests who'd come to celebrate Victoria were now fleeing like the building was on fire. Phones stayed out, everyone documenting the fall of the Miller family dynasty. Hashtag Duchessgate is trending #1, someone called out. Victoria's lost 100,000 followers in the last 10 minutes. Her phone buzzed incessantly on the stage. I could see the notifications from here. Brand partnerships canceling, influencer friends unfollowing, her carefully curated world crumbling in real time. This isn't happening, Victoria mumbled, refreshing her Instagram obsessively. No, no, no. Barnes & Noble just announced they're pulling your book from all stores, the publicist informed her, maintaining professional distance. And your morning show appearances have been canceled. All of them? Victoria's voice broke. Every single one. My father tried to approach me, but security stepped between us. Sophia, let's discuss this privately. Like you discussed my kidney failure privately? Oh, wait, you didn't discuss it at all. Local news crews were arriving, someone having tipped them off. A reporter was already going live. Drama at the Ritz-Carlton tonight as best-selling author Victoria Miller faces fraud allegations. Turn it off! Victoria screamed, but the screens around the ballroom were all tuned to different channels, each one covering the story. Sources confirm the IRS is investigating, another reporter announced. The publisher is demanding return of the advance. That's $200,000, the publicist muttered. My mother approached Michael Chen. Surely there's been a misunderstanding. Eleanor wouldn't want this. Michael pulled out a tablet, swiping to a video. My grandmother's face appeared on the screen, dated 6 months before her death. If you're watching this, Grandmother Eleanor said, her voice clear and strong, it means my family has proven exactly who they are. Linda, Robert, you chose favorites. You chose wrong. Victoria, you mistook my silence for approval. It was actually documentation. And Sophia, her voice softened. My dear one, you were never the burden. They were. The video ended. The silence was deafening. Ma'am, we need you to leave, security informed Victoria, who was still on the floor. This is my event. Not anymore. The hotel has revoked your reservation due to fraudulent representation. Even Duchess had wandered over to me, tail wagging, completely abandoning her owner. You need us! My father's last desperate attempt echoed across the ballroom. Your medical insurance is through my employer, I interrupted. Has been for 2 years. You'd know that if you'd ever asked about my life instead of just complaining about it. But family, my mother started. Family. I pulled out the restraining order, handing it to the security guard. These 3 individuals are no longer welcome near me. The security guard reviewed it and nodded. Ma'am, sir, miss, you need to leave, now. Victoria finally stood, her designer dress wrinkled, makeup destroyed. You've ruined everything. No, Victoria, you built your empire on lies. I just told the truth. She lunged at me, but security caught her. The cameras captured everything, the best-selling author of Living Your Best Life being physically restrained while screaming obscenities. I hate you, she shrieked. You've always been jealous. Jealous of what? The fake charity? The parents who toast a dog while their daughter flatlines? The life built on other people's suffering? I shook my head. I'd rather have kidney failure than your character failure. Duchess barked. At Victoria, not me. Even the dog had chosen sides. As security escorted them out, people began approaching me. Not with pity, but with gratitude. My son has lupus, one woman said quietly. His father never visits. Thank you for saying what we couldn't. My sister chose her wedding over my cancer surgery, another added. I needed to see this. Dr. Wong approached. Sophia, we'd like to offer you a position on our patient advocacy board. Your experience and voice are exactly what we need. Yes, absolutely. Maria Santos hugged me gently. Your grandmother would be so proud. Through the windows, I could see my family being escorted to their cars. Victoria was still screaming, my parents trying to calm her. Tomorrow, they'd wake up to a different world, one where their actions had consequences. But tonight, for the first time in 26 years, I stood in a room full of people who saw me, not as a burden or an inconvenience, but as a survivor. Michael handed me his card. The foundation papers will be ready Monday. $2 million to change lives. Starting with mine, I said quietly. The crowd began dispersing, but not in scandal, in solidarity. As I walked to my 10-year-old Honda, I felt lighter than I had in years. 6 months later, I sat in my new office at the Hayes Foundation, reviewing grant applications. My kidney function had stabilized. Amazing what proper medical care and no toxic stress could do. The wall behind me displayed photos from our first 5 grant ceremonies, each one representing a patient whose family had failed them, but whose community had not. The restraining order had held, not a single contact from any of them, though I'd heard through the grapevine about their spectacular fall. Victoria's book had been pulled and pulped, the publisher suing for the advance plus damages. She'd moved back in with our parents, into a small apartment, since they'd lost grandmother's house. Her Instagram, once boasting 2 million followers, had dwindled to a few thousand bot accounts. My father's reputation in financial circles was destroyed. Who would trust a financial advisor who committed charity fraud? My mother had been expelled from her social clubs. Turns out, people don't like members who abandon dying children for dog grooming appointments. Sophia? Dr. Wong knocked on my door. Your 3 o'clock is here. A young woman entered, holding the hand of a teenager with obvious medical equipment. Ms. Miller, I'm Jennifer. This is my daughter Amy. She has lupus and her father... He hasn't visited in 2 years. Sit, I said gently. Tell me your story. As they talked, I thought about grandmother Eleanor's final gift. Not the money, but the permission to stop seeking love from people incapable of giving it. She'd known they'd never choose me, so she made sure that when the time came I could choose myself. The foundation had already helped 53 families. Each grant was named the Eleanor Hayes Second Chance Grant, for people who needed someone to show up when their blood relatives wouldn't. I want to leave you with something my grandmother wrote in her final letter. Words I've framed above my desk. Blood makes you related. Loyalty makes you family. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is walk away from people who would watch you drown while complaining about the splash. If you're reading this or listening and you've been told you're too much, too sick, too expensive, too inconvenient, hear me clearly. You are not a burden. You are a human being deserving of love, support, and basic dignity. The people who make you feel otherwise, they're telling you who they are. Believe them. I chose to live. Not just survive, but actually live. I found my people, the medical staff who held my hand when my parents wouldn't, the board members who saw injustice and stood against it, the patients who became my chosen family. We show up for each other. We choose each other. Every single day. My parents chose a dog over my life. But in doing so, they freed me from 26 years of begging for scraps of affection. Victoria chose fame over family. And fame is fickle. It abandoned her the moment the truth came out. I chose myself, and that choice saved my life in ways medicine never could. Your worth isn't measured by their love. It never was. You are valuable simply because you exist. And if the people who should love you most can't see that, well, my grandmother had $2 million worth of opinions about that. Build your chosen family. Set your boundaries. Choose yourself. You deserve nothing less. So, what do you think? Was Sophia too harsh? Or did karma serve exactly what was ordered? If you've ever had to choose between toxic family and your own survival, you're not alone. Drop a comment with your story. I read every single one in heart, the brave souls who share. Team Sophia or Team Victoria? Choose your side below. And if this story hit different, please subscribe and ring that bell. Tomorrow's story? My in-laws demanded I name my baby after their dead cat, so I sent them an invoice for my therapy. You won't want to miss that disaster. Until then, remember, you deserve to be chosen first.